Good morning. I was on delay. I was like waiting. Good morning and welcome to your daily game face. I am Dr. Kim Lannon. I am here with Lou.
Yeah, you were ready.
Did you see? I was like, because
So,
it's
yeah.
weird when I'm in remote land like this. It's like the music plays and then there's like this weird little gap, and then
Oh.
it's weird. So I'm like,
So when you see yourself, start talking. That's all.
I thank you. Really? Thanks, Lou. Thanks for
Explaining it for the audience.
Oh, okay. I was like, "Are you trying to tell me?" That's why I
No.
was waiting because I know the deal, but it wasn't working. So, good morning, Lou.
Good morning.
How's your Wednesday?
So far, so good.
I know you already told me that by the midday it might be not so good because
Oh
it's
no,
Wednesday.
just day in general. Wake up day in general. I think I'm pretty good. I'm sure I'll find out at some point I'm not, but we'll see.
Now, Lou is the ultimate example of why my show exists in the world. Because he wakes up and he's like, "Well, it's good," and then I anticipate that somewhere in the middle of this day it will turn to shit.
No, you should understand. We have a relationship at this point where you should understand my sarcasm.
I do understand it,
Yeah.
and you should understand mine.
I do.
Oh
We
my
get
God.
along so well.
You know it all too well.
So
Thanks.
that's why we get along so well.
I know, because we're
Both
very good at
sarcastic.
being sarcastic.
Yeah.
Well, we were raised in sarcastic families, clearly.
No, that's how I coped with my family.
Oh, well, that's how I ended up coping with mine. So here we are, we are in the middle of.
We grew up in New England, right? You and
We
I grew up
did,
in New England. How do people not understand our sarcasm? Because too
because
many people do
people,
not
because
understand sarcasm. It's New England. It's where we were born.
it's a defense mechanism.
Yeah,
We have to be that way up here. It's cold here a lot of the year. We have to have something to entertain ourselves.
that's right.
So be sarcastic to other people and about other people. That's great, right? Really psychologically healthy.
Nothing wrong with it. It's a release.
I do not recommend that as a treatment modality.
It's a harmless release.
Yeah, well,
No?
ours is. It can be very damaging though to others if it's not nice, because sarcasm is actually a whole show.
Yeah, it's true.
So, but ours is harmless and playful.
Yes.
So it's funny, but it actually in life can be very damaging, but ours is not. But that's not the show for today.
Okay.
Okay, so we're in the middle of hot July. Welcome to hot July. I love it. I'm going to take all the hot days. You know why? Because I'd rather have them over snow. Thank you very much.
That's right. Every time.
And I'd rather have them over ice. Thank you very much. And
Cold.
and it cold any day.
Yeah.
I don't mind like a nice 70-degree day, but today it's not blazing sun. Today it's a very balmy 90 with overcast and looks like it's going to pour.
Oh, we got Canadian wildfires, right? By the sky, it's so weird.
Our sky has got this weird, funky color to it today, and last night too. But anyway, moving along, I had a great race. I did the Loon Mountain race this weekend. It's my 12th one, and every year I go, "Why am I doing this? Why am I doing this?" It's the hardest mountain race in the country. Sometimes it's touted as the second most difficult, but it always wins out, even when they put those other ones in that flop.
Why does anybody do it? It's tough.
Because we are insane. I'm going to round up. There were 500 of us.
Wow.
And people always go, "Is it uphill?" Well, it is a mountain race. So yes, it's uphill the whole way. As the director looked at me on Saturday and said, "The race course is still the same, up."
Have I explained to you my second guy theory?
Maybe.
This is a great example of my second guy theory. At some point, someone had to say, we're going to do a race up Loon Mountain. Well, when should we do it? How about the end of July? And there had to be a second guy who went, that's a good idea. Let's do it at the end of July when it's 90 degrees.
Yes.
God bless the second guy.
It's so funny because it started, the women go off. Well, this year, I don't know why they do this, because last year we went off first again. It's usually staggers, like one year the women go off first and then the next year the men. But anyway, so the women went off first this year. It's 7:30 in the morning. They do it because it's not supposed to be hot. So it was 48 degrees when I started. I
Wow.
was freezing. So I did my friend from Bosnia came in and he ran the race with me. He did it last year with me too, but he flew in from Bosnia and he did the race with me. And we were both freezing. We're sitting in my car, like right, 48 degrees. And I like get out of the car. I have to take everything, off because I can't lug it up the mountain with me, right? I'm freezing. I'm 2 miles in, and all of a sudden I'm like, I'm dying because the sun was blazing. Just there was not a cloud in the sky, and we went from 48 degrees to 75, 80 very quickly, and it was pure just beaming sun straight down on the mountain. And I was like, well, so much for being cold. So
Insane. Should be September. Leaves turn a little bit, make a nice trip.
I know, but I think predominantly they do it in the summer because it's in a series of mountain races and they have this. I don't do all of them, but they have this series, so it's when it fits in. I think. I don't know. I'm sure there's some method to their madness of why I do it. I just know it's in a series of a whole bunch of them that people win points because there's professionals and Olympic level people that come and do it. I am not one of them. I do pretty well though, but nonetheless, this year we both agreed, myself and my friend, that this year was harder. Exact same course, but we were both dogging it. I think it was the sun, the heat. Everyone was complaining about the heat. Not complaining, but just saying like, "Oh my gosh, the heat and the sun is brutal." And the last mountain part of it is called Upper Walking Boss. So it's like this 42 or something degree angled incline, and most of it you crawl, and you walk backwards or you walk sideways or you crawl, and I'm not kidding, that's exactly how it is. And it's just insane. They give an extra prize for people that make it to the top the fastest. So right when you turn the corner from this long downhill that you get to run while your quads are on fire, you get to the bottom of it and then you take a sharp right turn and you go over a mat that starts timing you. There's nothing more psyching out than a mat that starts timing you at the bottom of this thing and you're looking up and you cannot see the top of it and you're crawling. So I make it special. You know how I make it special, Lou? I eat the wild strawberries because they're close to my mouth while I'm
Okay.
crawling. I'm like, these are good.
All right. Whatever works.
Everybody was like, did you have the strawberries? I'm like, oh yeah, they're good. They're very good. And then I feel bad afterwards for like, oh, I ate all the bear food. So, but there were a couple bear out there. There was a moose this weekend. I didn't see it, but other people did. There was apparently a yearling moose that got scared out in the middle of the road and like fell over. I didn't see him though.
Fainted like a goat.
But everybody told me about it.
Yeah.
I don't know if not like that freeze thing. I think he just kind of got, how they're leggy and obviously and awkward. He had a leggy, awkward moment. That's what they said, and he fell, and they all were like, "Oh no!" So everyone on the road stopped, and of course, another moose miss that I didn't see.
Still haven't seen a moose. New England all my life, haven't seen a
I
moose.
know. You will eventually. It's an amazing sight when you do see it.
They're gorgeous.
They're
incredibly
beautiful.
majestic animals.
Car.
Yeah, true.
So, but hey, listen, I can surefire get you a moose sighting. You just fly to Big Sky, Montana, and I guarantee you will see more than one.
I live in New England. I don't need to go to Montana. I should be able to see a moose.
I understand that, but the only way I got to see one in the past decade was I really, except for the butt end of one I saw up in New Hampshire like a couple years ago.
I've seen an aurora here. I've met deer on the road multiple times.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't seen a moose yet.
Oh, well, it's coming. You have to go back up north.
Yeah.
They're out right now. They are. So anyway, it was a fabulous weekend. Update on people that have asked me about my lovely child, Echo, my 22-year-old squamous cell carcinoma rostral mandible cancer patient. She had a rough weekend because mommy wasn't home, but we're back to our normal self. We are medicated. We're doing palliative care because the drive to get radiation treatment would have been worse than the actual treatment itself and stressed her out because she had to have 3 to 7 treatments for it to get rid of the tumor that would eventually come back within 6 weeks. So I was like, so I'm going to do acupuncture.
Interesting.
I'm going to do acupuncture, and that will be fun. Not for me, but we'll see how that goes. It's supposed to be relieving of pain. She's happy. She's very happy. I don't think she really knows. I think she just loves love and loves her food, and she's happy. She
Are
does
you
not look
performing
22. Everyone always like, she's 22. I'm like, yeah.
are you performing the acupuncture, or are you taking her to
Oh
somebody?
no.
Oh,
There's an in-home, there's everybody comes into the house now. It's great. I
hmm.
think that that was a thing because of the pandemic, that's what happened. So I think maybe, I don't know, but everybody has companies that come in now. So the vets come to the house.
Hmm. To do
So
acupuncture.
she's gonna, how do you do it?
No, I said they have people who come to your house to do acupuncture on pets.
Yes.
Hmm. Interesting.
Yes. You can find anything on the internet.
That I know.
Yes, they do. There's actually quite a few. Um, yeah, I could tell a story about it, but I'll save it for another time. I had one experience with a person that I was, vetting, no pun intended, vetting the acupuncturist.
Mhm.
Oh God, some people I swear, need to go back to school for bedside manner training. I love it. I'll put it this way. People like to decide for you, assuming you know nothing, and they assume you're stupid. I think, that um, they decide for you how, without meeting, without seeing, sight on contact, nothing, that, you should probably just put your cat down. How about you and I are done with our conversation?
Yeah.
We'll leave it at that. Like, who are you to tell me? Ugh. So, yeah.
She didn't want the business?
Well, that's so just as an aside before I get into the show today, but right? Like, I mean, everybody else that I talked to was like, good questions, thorough, thoughtful, no stepping over boundaries. Apparently I think she didn't want to do the 20-minute drive. That's what I honestly think it came down to.
Good Lord.
Mhm.
She's in the
And
wrong
she
business
and
then.
she tried to dissuade me I think she upped her prices, and I didn't as soon as she said the thing she said, I wasn't going with her anyway, but I was like, "Girl, you're fired before you got out of the door." So, and it wasn't even your prices, it was your attitude.
Yeah.
So, anyway, kittenish.
Kittenish.
Yeah. This is a store in Knoxville, not Knoxville, in Tennessee. Where did I go? No, Nashville.
Nashville.
Nashville. I'm like, Knoxville, where am I? I went to the World's Fair. I performed there in Knoxville, but this is from Nashville. It's a cute little store.
Knoxville.
Um,
In Tennessee, you were close.
that was close, but I was thinking Knoxville. Oy.
Yeah.
Okay, so moving along. We've had our 15 minutes of banter. Now it's time for the show. So today's show, in keeping with Rise, and now we're halfway through the year and a little beyond, helping others rise while helping yourself. What do you think of that?
It's good therapy.
I know, right? So
Yeah.
it's a very powerful tool to help others rise. And oftentimes people will think, if I help someone else, it's going to get in my way of rising. It doesn't mean that you have to fall. It doesn't mean you have to like put yourself aside, because I call it sustainable service. When you're helping others, it's sustainable service, and that's built on mutual growth rather than on self-sacrifice. But people often do that all or nothing thing. So they think it's sacrificing yourself while helping someone else. Oh, I have a kitty visitor. Hello, Mr. Ash. And so it's actually powerful. He's going to jump up. I'm about to get lots of things falling. Love the babies. So it's a powerful way to frame this, is that helping others to rise should not require you to fall. Therefore, you're being sustainable in your service to others and mutually growing if possible, right? And not self-sacrificing. So you're not sacrificing your integrity or what you're doing, but you're either modeling, instilling hope, sharing your universal shared experience. You're doing all those things that will help you rise and also help another person do it as well. It's most effective when it comes from a place of you having strength and your strong spots rather than any kind of depletion. So if you're tired or if you're struggling yourself, it's not going to be quite as powerful, but helping others is really effective when your acts of service are reinforced because your own well-being is intact and you have a good sense of purpose for yourself and your own growth is going. So when people do it in a people-pleasing way, that's usually from a depletion point, right? So when people are just doing it to, well, I don't have, say, you've got to be above the bar, so to speak, like the not the drinking bar. You have to have you have to have a bar set for yourself that is like your baseline of strength, growth, and learning. And when you're helping others, if you fall below that, then that means you're not in the sustainable space to be able to do sustainable service to help others. So every act of service really has to be able to come from that place of well-being, purpose, and growth, and it has to reinforce your own well-being, growth, and purpose, because it's helping you while you're helping someone else. And people have come back on me over the years and said, "Oh, that feels so selfish because I'm getting something from it." Yeah, it's reciprocating. It's reciprocity. I help you, you help me, we help each other, right? So, and if people don't want to come along the ride, then that's not your problem.
It's a
That's
rising tide. It's not
right.
doing something for yourself. It's just helping somebody helps everybody.
Exactly.
Mm.
Exactly. Well, in theory, yes.
Yeah.
Right. So modeling. So the first thing I would talk about is going back in a few words ago is modeling before you mentor, right? Practicing the behaviors that you encourage in others. You have to be able to practice what you preach. And I'm big on that. That if I tell someone, hey, this is something that is really healthy, or this is something that is good for you, or this is something that is an option, it's usually something that I'm going to either do or have done or would consider, right? Because I'm not going to just say
Yeah.
something that you should do if it's not something that obviously has empirical validation, if it's a theoretical intervention, or if it's something along nutrition or exercise. I mean, everything out there is exactly modeling. I'm going to model what I expect for myself for someone else to then do that. So practicing the behavior that I would encourage in someone else is important. So if I say you have to have healthy boundaries, I'm going to practice healthy boundaries. If I'm saying we have to be emotionally regulated, then I'm practicing emotional regulation. Self-compassion. Do I take time for myself? Do I give myself a break? Do I give myself a pat on the back and say, you're doing fine, or you need a break, or whatever? That's something you have to practice. And I think one of the biggest ones, and you and I talk about this on the show all the time, is accountability. Own it. If you do it good, own it. If you do it bad, own it. If you externalize to other people and blame outside because things don't go your way, that is not a healthy thing. If you do well in life, it's on account that you've done well, but usually there's other people around you or other things that have helped you there. Account for that. Don't blame people for your failures and take all the credit for your success.
Yeah.
Very important. And people are so quick to blame when they don't do well. Like I give out a test, for example, and someone does really poorly on it, and then they blame me for their failure. That is, while the rest of the class does well, right? Who's where's the accountability in that, right? For example, it's like you just have to own it. If you don't know something, don't make an answer. Say I don't know.
There's a
Yeah,
margin to accept your part in everything, even if it's predominantly outside of you. There's still a part of you that contributed to it, and you have to recognize that part because you have to solve that part of it.
exactly. People don't like that though.
I know.
you know so modeling before you mentor, right? So are you practicing those behaviors? Are you encouraging yourself to grow in healthy ways? So I picked those things, I picked those topics because those are the top things I see in people most of the time, is lack of boundary setting because people have been boundary crossed themselves, so they don't know what good boundaries are.
Mhm.
So practicing that. People are constantly emotionally dysregulated, so getting emotionally regulated, being responsive, not reactive, having self-compassion. People think it's selfish to take care of oneself and take time for oneself, or to to even sit down and watch something on TV when you think you're supposed to be doing something else because you don't want anyone in the house to think you're not doing something, like
Yeah.
that's not self-compassion, that's being self-judgy. And then accountability. So those are like those areas. Those are the four areas I would say are the hardest for people to do, but practicing that is good modeling for others, because if you can do it, then other people around you will see it and they'll want what you've got.
Yep. By the way, that's rule one of parenting, by the way, modeling.
Modeling, yes.
Yeah.
Well, I always tell parents that you're parents first, which means you're modeling. And then by the time a kid is 13, 14, then you become their mentor. If you've done good modeling, then you're mentoring. And then when they hit their 20s and after, then you're a consultant.
I like it. Yeah.
Right? That's how I've always,
Yeah.
in all of my career, I just remember doing early work in like high school. This is years ago, back in the day when I first started my career. And I just remember sitting there saying, like, you are a parent, then you're a mentor, and then you're a consultant, because I had to come up with a way to figure out how to get parents in the, because I was working in high school, to get out of like the parenting mode to
Yeah.
let, because kids, when they're separating and individuating and around 12, 13, 14, parents have a really hard time letting go of being a parent, versus now you've got to like start letting kids fall on their own and pick themselves up. But parents often would swoop in and be like, not my kid, not my, and it's like, no, you need to be able to mentor. So,
Sometimes kids have trouble letting go of the parent themselves.
well, and that's because the parent and the child have become codependent, right?
Yeah.
And they're
Yep.
not helping each other rise. They're doing a codependent dance
They don't
instead.
want a mentor or a consultant. They want a parent.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. And because that's, and the parent has trained them how to treat them. So
Yep.
it's like it happens that way too. Kids treat parents how to, they train them how to treat them. It's reciprocating. It doesn't mean it's healthy, but it's reciprocating. Um, so then, okay. So now that if you're modeling what before you mentor, then you're going to serve, like you're going to do those acts of service from an area of surplus and not out of survival. So many people act out of survival mode, and their survival mode is deprivation, right? So if you think about like just kind of getting through the day,
Hmm.
um, and just getting through, that's not coming from a place of growth and surplus. That's coming from survival mode. You have to give from what you have that's available. If your cup is empty and you're being drained already from the empty cup, what's going to happen? So rather than sacrificing your own physical, emotional, or psychological health, you have to know that you have to fill your cup up first, which goes back to, are you taking care of your own well-being, your sense of purpose, and your growth yourself? Because if you're serving an act of service to others to try to model growth or to rise, and it's an empty cup and you've
Right.
got people around you that drain you, you're in trouble.
You have to have a supply to pass along.
Yes. So serving from your think of it, serve from your surplus.
Hmm.
If you're drained, you got to go charge your battery somewhere. Don't overcommit. Don't, I think one of the biggest, I call it soul sucking, is people who cross your boundaries and don't respect your boundaries. They will soul suck you and you have no surplus.
Yep.
Right? So you can't do anything from a depletion state, because you'll be doing it off of survival, which means you'll be in fight and flight, or you'll be in fawn, which is people pleasing.
And that's no position to be helpful in.
You can't even help yourself with that.
Right.
It's like, start with you first, right? That's why I said it's helping others rise is not about self-sacrifice. It's about being sustainable in your own space to be able to do it. So you've got to make sure that you have a
Well, we
surplus.
talk about this with caretakers, and we use the put your mask on first mentality, which is,
Mhm.
you need to be whole. You need to have something to give before you can help out.
Exactly. I always love that metaphor, is like, when you're on that plane, they're very specific. Put your mask on first before you put it on someone else or help someone else. Right. Because you have to have the oxygen literally to help someone else. Same thing if you can metaphorically see that your body, your mind, your soul, your spirit has to have a fullness to it to be able to give. But so many people give from empty. And that's why they're exhausted. That's why they're drained. That's why they struggle. That's why their anxiety goes up. That's why their sleep gets worse. That's why they overeat. That's why they don't eat. Like,
Mm.
it impacts everything. Right. So to the point, this point is set healthy boundaries. Saying no, as I always say, is a full sentence with an exclamation point, a full period. No is a no, right? So setting healthy boundaries is not just about being, people are like, that's mean. No is not mean. No is just no. But what it comes with the ability to sit with the uncomfortability that someone might not like your no, that's a different story, right? If you say no because you don't want to deplete yourself because it's going to overextend you or it's going to make it difficult, you're trying to model that it's okay to say no and that people don't spontaneously combust into flames because no is this time. It doesn't mean that next time will be a no, but this time can and will be a no. So setting the healthy boundary by saying no to one request allows you to say yes to another one. And
Can I add a little something to this?
sure,
Own your no. In
own
other
your
words,
no.
too many people will say no and then they'll over-explain it. It's like sometimes a no, there's a reasonable amount of explanation on why no, but at a
Yes,
certain point, you don't have to justify your no all the time. You don't have to
correct.
justify your no.
It's so
Own
funny because I had someone, excuse me, I didn't mean to interrupt you, and I'm clearing my throat. Were you finished? I'm sorry.
No, I finished. Own your no.
Oh, okay. Funny example of this exact thing. Right before we went on the air, remember I was like on the phone. I said, "Hold on one second, I'm answering something." My answer to the question that I got from a friend on my text was no. And
Good.
she wrote back and said, "Now is that a non-consideration no?" Question mark. And I went, "No." And she's like, and then she put the emoji, the and she knows I mean no,
Yeah.
I'm out. And she kept going. She's been going, so, and she knows I'm in the podcast, so she probably forgot, but
Yeah.
she's still going with questions about now. What if
Well,
it
that
this
shortens
happens?
negotiation, which is a good
Still a
thing.
no.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she's trying to, yes, she's trying to make negotiating points, and I still am a no.
Well,
It's just so funny, and she knows I will not budge on this, but she's trying.
yeah.
And I always, well, I can't do it now, obviously, but I'm in the show. But I always end up saying like, you cannot guilt a person who will not be guilted.
It's true.
I do not guilt. I don't do guilt.
In
Guilt
my
is
head,
a choice. I am not going to be guilted.
I hate the repeated questions because in my mind, I'm always thinking, I've done the equation on this. That's my answer.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And it's so hard because people are people pleasers, and I know what she wants me to do because that's what she would do. And it's she knows she's not gonna get me to move on this.
Yeah.
She's trying really hard. A for effort for her.
Yep.
E
She's
for effort.
doing what she needs to do, but
She's working it hard, but it's just a boundary. And I said boundary. But in all seriousness, I mean, that is serious. It was a good example because it is happening current real time. But setting a healthy boundary is so important because what it does is it allows for the yes to come when it really matters more on something, or most. Boundaries protect both you and the other person. They do. And people don't see it that way a lot of the times. I think that they
yeah.
think about it as being rejected or abandoned or hurt. But a lot of times just a good boundary is um people think boundaries are just like pushing away and like just rejection, and they're not.
No.
Boundary is just to say, hey, this is my limit and I'm not doing that, or I can't do that, or I choose not to do that. And it's okay. And it protects the relationship. It can protect a dynamic of a business relationship. It can protect family members just by saying like, I'm not okay with that I draw my line. And that's such a growth edge for people because there's so many people pleasers in the world. And And people will say, well, it's the easier road. It's not. I am here to say that being a people pleaser and not setting your boundary is not the easier road. It appears to be because you have been trained into believing that because things don't go quite as bad in your mind. But at the end of the day, it's not an easier road.
Well, again, your part in that making an easier road is that you've bypassed the negotiation that follows because in the past you haven't set that boundary. People
Mm-hmm.
just keep pushing that boundary. So
Mm-hmm.
you've kind of set that up with your behavior. You teach people how to treat you.
Yes.
What you've taught them is if they keep pushing, they'll push you into it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then and usually in childhood, way before you get into those moments, in childhood, you've learned that no is not acceptable from you. You can be told no, but you
Yeah.
saying no is not acceptable. Um, so when I do parenting work with families, I have conversations a lot of times with when is no acceptable from your child, because no is acceptable, but no is not acceptable when it's like, can you put the dishes away? That is a yes. But if someone says, hey, go give grandma or grandpa a kiss or go sit on Uncle Charlie's lap, that's a no.
Yeah.
And no, and if a child says no, that's to be respected. When it gets bypassed and say, go give grandma a kiss. No, your child doesn't have to do that. That is not, you don't force that. I mean, there's really specific areas where the boundaries are really clear, where someone has the right as a child to say no. But oftentimes those are the scenarios where they get taught that no is not an okay thing. So you see a lot of times that's why young adults and into their adulthood, women especially, have a hard time saying no and become people pleasers because they were taught through those kinds of experiences not to say no.
That's what's expected from you. Be a people
Right.
pleaser. Yeah.
Right. You're supposed to be, that's supposed to be kind doing that. No, how about no? No, that is not okay. So,
Yeah.
and unfortunately, those are the ways that those things are modeled, and that's not, uh, to the point of the next point would be learn through teaching. And so every time you teach something or you coach something or you're modeling, if you want to call it that, but I'm going to call it teaching. So learn through teaching. So every time you're doing those things and support someone else in a way that is counter to what is healthy, that's not good. But when you're doing it in the way that's healthy, you're deepening your own strength and your own sense of development while doing that for someone else, because you're modeling it again, but you're also learning through the teaching. So you're rising yourself while helping someone else rise, because you're helping someone by supporting them through if they say no to something and you support the no, for instance, or they set a boundary of that makes me uncomfortable, I don't want to go to that movie, it's scary, or whatever it is, you both are doing it by respecting someone else's boundary. You're also doing your own rise and growth, because you're like, okay, that's fine. Right. Instead of being like, oh, come on, like my friend's doing right now. She's having a hard time with it. She really
Yeah.
wants me to say yes. Do you know it's still going to be a no?
It's still going to be a no. No.
It's still going to be a no. But that next part is learn through teaching, right? So every time you teach or every time you coach something or every time you support someone else, right? You're going to deepen your own understanding and you're going to continue your own development. So know that learning through teaching happens. Like when I teach like at class, I often look for learning moments myself, because I get my class to participate with me. And I love that because I learn so much from my people in my class. That's one of the best things about teaching is, for me, is that I learn from them.
Yeah.
Because I always get new information that I don't always think I'm going to know, like that I would think I would know, but I don't. And then did you know? And I'm like, oh, that's so cool. And I'm almost always leaving my class weekly with like a new tidbit of, hey, did you know? Or blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh, that's so cool. I didn't know that.
Well, if it's done right, what you're teaching is the parenting experience, because
Mhm.
parenting is just relearning everything, but learning it through new eyes and learning it through a new perspective, one that you didn't have. So it's
Exactly.
amazing how much it opens your eyes teaching others
Yes.
just the basics of how to be.
Right, and instead of it being like a lot of teachers, unfortunately, and you know this, a lot of teachers unfortunately have that whole experience of like, I'm the teacher, I know, and therefore you don't. And
No.
that's the I don't hear that as much in my college colleagues, but I do hear that in like high school and lower grades of like they can't be wrong, and a child or a student can't have an opinion or a thought because it challenges them and the ego gets in the way. I hear that a
Yeah.
lot. Like a kid can't know more. A lot of times kids do know more. I have a couple kids in my practice that by far could outteach some of their teachers in their classes. And I'm
Oh,
talking like elementary, middle, and high school.
well, they
Hands
bring a new and often productive perspective to whatever
right,
it is that you're
right,
dealing with.
right. And I think that um in those scenarios where there's teaching that's legitimate, just teaching, not just life skills of just being in social situations, you got to be open to that because kids are so much more attached to information than you and I were when we grew up. I mean, we had Encyclopedia Britannica and we had World Book and we had, we didn't have, and TV a little bit, but we didn't have what they have now and what they hear and what they read. And you just see much more developmental growth in terms of intelligence and knowledge base than we ever did.
Used to love the yearbooks,
Oh, me too.
and those are
I
great.
love and Highlight magazine. Remember Highlight
Of
magazine?
course, yeah.
Loved Highlight, right? But now you got the internet. So anyway, so learn through teaching. And then and this is what we were saying before, but celebrate shared success, right? When when another person grows and you see it, celebrate it. When another person um, shows evidence of them doing like modeling or movement forward or um, something meaningful that is an accomplishment, share that and celebrate that with them, because when you view another person's growth as um, uh, something that you've had investment in and it has meaning to them and you acknowledge that, it's so good for both of you because it's exciting that is uh, that it's there. When you don't celebrate it, then you're not even acknowledging their accomplishment or your own self-worth, because then you're bypassing it as if it's not existent or not anything. So you
Right.
really have to be able to celebrate a shared success. That doesn't mean it has to be really overt, but you can just be like, you did such a good job on that. And I really noticed that you're doing extra work and progress and blah, 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 whatever it is. But it's just about your acknowledgement of that will be celebration to both of you and an acknowledgement that both of you are growing together and rising together. Like I really noticed that you didn't take that extra piece of cake and I didn't either. And that's awesome that we did that. Just that simple thing is a shared success celebration.
Well, you just brought up a point that I wanted to make since the beginning of this discussion is this doesn't have to be big things. It can be small things on a day-to-day basis, not taking that piece of cake, by the
Right.
way,
Right.
or
Or
little kindnesses you do along the day. That can be helping people. It doesn't have to be. You don't have to be a volunteer. Can if you want. It's obviously great. You don't have to get involved with one person extensively.
right.
Just anything. My big thing in my life at this point is make things easier for anybody, right?
Exactly.
Just no unnecessary hard. Just if you can help a little bit. One of my favorite things now is if I'm walking to the grocery store, and I always park as far away as possible because it's just get the walk in, get the steps in, and do
Right.
that. Somebody's got a cart that needs to go back and it's 90 degrees out. I'll take that cart back there. I'm going there anyways.
Right.
Small thing, but helps everybody.
Exactly. And it's and those are that's what I mean by celebrate shared success. It doesn't have to even be like you just said, you don't even know the person, but you're modeling something because what you did for that person is kind of like the paying it forward, right?
Yeah.
That models it. That helps that person rise, because what will happen most likely, not all the time, but most of the time, that person will then do that for someone else because it's like you gave it permission because you did it.
Or at
Then they
worst, they
will
won't
do it.
leave the cart in the parking lot, which drive me nuts.
Yeah. Well, I mean, as an aside, obviously, um, it's so crazy making when people like the cart, you know, return is right next to the car and they leave it next to the cart return on the outside of it. I'm like,
Uh,
really? You couldn't take that extra step around to go and put that away. Are you
Yeah.
serious? Ugh. Or they leave it right in front of in between the cars so that
Yep.
they didn't have to move it. So lazy.
Just
So
taking up a
lazy.
spot. Yeah.
Yep. Or it rolls back in and hits your car. Yes. Speaking of those things,
But you
yes.
can do it in this small acts basis that is really good for everybody. It makes you feel better. It makes them feel better. It's just uplifting.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's why, so like even in that part, so when you're celebrating shared successes like that, I mean, and those points are so good because those are, when you do any pay it forward moment, those are shared successes. That's how you're helping another person. It doesn't have to be someone you absolutely know. It can be anybody. You receive goodness back as readily as you're giving it, and that's a key there, because if you're allowing yourself to accept support, someone taking your cart for you, right? If you're allowing yourself to get feedback, if your encouragement is there, if you're caring for someone else by holding the door open from them, right? You're
Yep.
talking about simple things,
Yeah.
right? Because you're being considerate. That's a healthy reciprocity in relationship. It doesn't have to be with people you know only. It's the general everyday thing. Like people say, I don't have a sense of purpose. And I'm like, okay, so how about your sense of purpose today is if you see someone, do something nice for them. Like I am always floored about how many people do not open the door for somebody. And I'm not even talking about gender. You know how it used to be men
Oh,
for
no.
what?
Yep.
The door shut in your face, or the lack of holding a door, or the lack of opening a door, or the no thank, or the no giving you a thank you. So my response is always like, you're welcome. Sarcasm. It's our sarcasm in New England, right? But I'll open a door and someone walk through. I love it when men do that. I mean, no offense, but they'll walk right through and I'm like, thank you. Like, okay. Then and
What does
it's
a thank
amazing
you
to me.
cost you? Yeah.
It's amazing to me the no thank yous and the assumption or the lack of paying attention that literally I just did a nice thing for you. But when that happens, I have a giggle in my head. When I don't get reciprocity, I have a giggle in my head because I still feel growth, because I'm like, I did something nice and that's all that
Yeah.
matters. So, but it's just so funny because you want to receive as readily as you give, but it doesn't always happen. So your cup doesn't get full. So you fill up your cup by being like, I did a nice thing. You're welcome.
It's funny though. I don't get that so much. The skipping of the thank you so much. In fact, I'm always kind of surprised at the response because it seems to be such an unusual thing these days. People are always kind of shocked. Really? You're going to take this? It's like they don't say it, but it's like, really? And it's like, yeah, I'll take it. And it's like they're just genuinely surprised. Like they don't get
Yep.
any kind of kindness as they go through the day.
Because people aren't out there doing those things. That's why I think it's so important to have like this kind of conversation about helping others rise while you're helping yourself, because I think we lack that in the psychology of the society currently. And I think it's not new. I just think it's been growing over the past, I don't know, since I've been alive. I've just watched it get more and more that way. Um,
It's just eroded. It used to be the way things are done. Now it's just eroded.
yes, exactly. And so I think it's important to kind of come back to some basics here and just be a kind person. Help people rise. If they don't want to rise with you, that's different. But there's a man on Instagram, and I think he's on TikTok too, but his name is Damon Darling. He's a comedian, but he's also a very wealthy philanthropist. He's a funny man. And he was left an oil rig or oil well of some sort down in Texas. I don't know the complete story, but anyway, he goes online and he films, but he goes into like BJ's, Walmart, Target, grocery stores, whatever, or stands outside. And he often will get the police called on him because all he does is go around and he's funny, but he'll go around and he'll pay for people's groceries. He'll
Yeah.
step in front and just put the card in front and pay, and then take out cash and give them back. And he does sort of like a little shtick with it, whatever. But he does it out of his heart and kindness. And the responses, if you can ever go look up Damon Darling and watch him, the responses from people are sometimes flabbergasting, because they are flabbergasted, but also you just have to go see him to watch some of
Yeah.
the responses, because
Can
people are
imagine.
just like, no, 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 no. Or they feel, well, one, there's a
Yeah.
There's a difference in his gender a lot of times, and he doesn't discriminate between female or male, but he is also very, he doesn't look like he's wealthy. He doesn't act like he's wealthy. He's kind of, he's got this big fro-y kind of like dreadlocks sometimes like up on the top of his head
Yep.
bun, and he's, and he's wonderful. And man, the presumption of what he's doing is often misconstrued, and all he's doing is good things for people. And people will decline him, and he'll be like, all right, bro, I love you, man. And people are like, and he's like, I just love you, I'm just trying to give you some love. And I just, but man, the amount of kickback he gets for trying to do something kind, because people are untrusting, which I
Well,
understand.
you can imagine the skepticism, because
Yes.
you don't get something for nothing these days. Usually
Mhm.
someone's trying to scam you, right?
Mhm. Right. And you get, unfortunately, there's probably a lot of racism that goes along with this too. You have to watch him to know, but there's other things that factor in. But he just is just wonderful man, and he just takes it in stride, and he's like, I'm just trying to be a good person. It's all good. You don't want it, that's fine. So it's interesting, but just to the point of, that whole like, he's just ready to give at any given time, and he's just lovely. So when you talked about that, I'm thinking, oh my god, he's like the perfect example of someone that's out there doing a good thing every day and giving people back, because he became fortunate to get a fortune, and
Yeah.
he doesn't want to just hold on to it and be stingy. So but
But for the rest of us, we can do small acts
right.
and do well.
Right. Kind of like, remember that time I told you about the man that they were giving a hard time to, that had the heart attack, and his EBT card wasn't working. So
Yeah.
I paid for his groceries because they weren't going to help him. Like, just it's $60. I mean, seriously. And the man cried, and I knew he wasn't lying.
Yeah.
You could just tell. So anyway, so to that point in this, protect your energy. Right? You got to prioritize your energy,
Yeah.
that, you talk about a lot when you
So
talk about,
important. Yeah.
saving your energy, but protecting it, making sure that and I'm talking from like stem to stern, like prioritize your sleep, your nutrition, your movements, your exercise, your relationship, your activities that give you restoration, right? So on the basic energy levels, like of all the things that are obvious, protecting it, but self-care and self-mental care is a part of being an effective helper, and not separate from it. You have to have those things in motion to protect your energy so that you can give, and you can also make good choices when you feel like you're not getting reciprocity, when
Get
there's lack of
stingy. Yeah,
lack
get
of
stingy
empathy.
with your mental energy. Get very
Yes.
stingy with it.
Right. Make sure that, and you have to make sure you have a surplus so that you don't get drained from it. So those things that I just said, like sleep and movement and nutrition and activities and relationship and all that,
And
make
I
sure
know
you're
I
not.
hop on this, and I was very guilty of this, is like the biggest drain of mental energy for you is social media. Just
Mhm.
get very stingy about that.
Yes, it is an incredible drain on it, especially if you're
Spend
a
it on the
scroll.
people you love and the things that are important to you. Don't spend it on some idiot in a comment section of social media. You know?
Right. Yes. Who wouldn't say it to you in person, but will say it to you
Yeah.
online. And then you'll lose sleep over it, right?
Yep.
So on that note too, so that's about staying connected to your purpose. Staying connected to your purpose. Let your values drive you. Let your purpose drive you. I have a person that asks me every week, and literally every week for years, I don't know what my purpose is. And because he
Hmm.
thinks that purpose has to be this big thing. It doesn't. It has to be these little things. It's it's not something that you have to do that is going to make you feel this aha. It's not Mount Kilimanjaro every time.
Right.
It's just
Yeah.
little teeny things. And stay connected to your purpose. Is today to have a good day? That's purpose. Follow your value, your value of your day. Am I going to conserve my energy today to not be upset, not feel guilty, not feel obligated to do something when I don't want to do something, or obligated to say yes to things, right? Or to have the need for approval, that people pleasing thing. You have to have your values guide you and how you live your life so that you can help others. So that means you have to stay connected to your purpose so that you don't sacrifice yourself and then you lose your purpose and then you feel bad that you did something that you didn't want to do, or you said yes to something you didn't want to say yes to, or you overgave and then now you're tapped, and that's a problem.
Yep.
So in psychology, I think it comes down to, like, when we're helping others. I know this is going to come up. I hear a couple of people in my head right now saying, like, how do you do this when you have someone that won't move with you? It's like, we often say that we cannot co-regulate others if we are dysregulated. So you have to always be checking in with yourself to make sure you are not dysregulated. And if you are, you got to work on those parts that are dysregulated. Like if you're overtired, if you're lacking water, if you're agitated at something, like you cannot co-regulate in if you are not like stable yourself. So whether you're a counselor like me, like a doctor, or a parent, or a leader of something, maybe you're a Girl Scout or a Boy Scout leader, or you're a teacher at a gym or whatever. Your presence is one of the most powerful interventions when you're doing good modeling. And so when your cup is half full, you have to remember not to let that sort of leak out the rest of it because you're not full of surplus. So in order to make sure that you're making helpful rising moments for others, you have to really co-regulate in with good regulation yourself.
We're back to Bill Belichick and do your job, which is control what you can control.
Exactly. And
don't,
take care of
run
you
around
first.
trying to control things you can't control like other people.
Right. And you have to take care of yourself first. And people think that's selfish because we're trained socially that that's a selfish thing, but you have to take care of yourself first before. It doesn't mean that you do selfish things. It means just make sure you take care of your surplus first.
Not selfish, it's effective.
Exactly. So as I get ready to close here, is to help others rise. Never do it at the expense of your own foundation. Keep your foundation solid. Lift from solid ground. We've talked about this. I've said it. You've said it in different ways. Lay the foundation, or lay the floorboard, so to speak. So you lift from solid ground, not from sinking sand. That's why I don't like that whole, like, draw the line in the sand. I always say, no, I drew it in concrete. Because then the boundary. Sand sinks, right? So make sure that you lift from solid ground. Make sure you've got your good foundation, and that true leadership or true growth that you're going to help yourself and help others with is not losing yourself in service to others. It's growing with them. And if they don't grow with you, you keep growing. You don't stop because someone else doesn't come along the ride. You just keep going.
Right. And learn to accept people for who they are and deal with them accordingly.
Exactly. Well, and when you learn to accept, or you give yourself permission to just keep going forward and don't feel guilty that they're not coming with you, it's a good thing.
And don't take it personally that they're not coming with you, because it's about them. It's not about you.
Right. Exactly. But that's the rejection piece, which we can talk about next show, maybe.
Yeah.
How to grow when you feel rejected.
How to grow when you feel rejected.
Exactly. So anyway.
Call that a Tuesday. Yeah.
You what?
We call that a Tuesday.
Yes. Yeah. And you said it today was a Wednesday, and I hope that this afternoon doesn't change. Okay. So I hope everyone has a fabulous week. Enjoy your warm weather wherever you are. Get out there and do something good for others. Make sure you stay surplus friendly and find your purpose, and help others rise. And I'll see you next week.